In the quiet hush of morning, Eugene woke to the soft press of kisses against his cheek. Beside him sat his wife, Irene, her face lit up with a tender smile. "Morning," she said gently, her voice still wrapped in the calm of dawn. "You look so peaceful sleeping." With a slow stretch, Eugene turned toward her and pulled her close, savoring the moment. But the day ahead promised to be anything but calm. He had to drop Irene off at the train station, head straight to work, and later catch up with his buddies in the evening. "When are you getting back again?" he asked, still half lost in her warmth. "In 3 days," she replied, zipping up her suitcase. "There's a meeting today and a full-day conference tomorrow." It was just a short hop to a nearby city, but her luggage looked like she was relocating, packed to the brim with outfits and pairs of shoes she might not even wear. Saying goodbye, no matter how brief the trip, always carried a little sting for both of them. "I'm gonna miss you," she murmured, wrapping her arms around him from behind and nestling her face into the curve of his neck. The day flew by in a blur, rushing to the station, a long farewell, and then diving headfirst into work. Meanwhile, Irene's phone lit up non-stop, buzzing with updates. A snap of her hotel room, the view from her window, lunch pics with her coworkers. Eugene knew exactly where she was and what she was doing, where she was having lunch, where the conference was taking place. Later, before going to a meeting with friends, Irene's phone rang again. She wrote that she got to the hotel, but felt exhausted and was ready to faint. Shortly after, she turned off her phone. Eugene sent back a sweet "good night" and slipped his phone into his pocket. As he walked up to the bar, he spotted his friends Nick, Greg, and Dimitri already waiting outside. They exchanged a round of handshakes and backslaps. Dimitri teased him. "Finally escaped, huh?" The group cracked up. Unlike Eugene, some of them didn't exactly have that kind of freedom. Once they grabbed a booth inside and ordered drinks, Nick gave Eugene a playful side-eye. "Man, you take forever to return calls, and what's with the long face?" Eugene chuckled but didn't deny it. "I miss her already. Crazy, right?" He even floated the idea of jumping in his car and surprising Irene with a weekend visit. The guys exchanged a few amused glances and groaned in unison. "Dude, you're hopeless," someone muttered with a grin. 15 minutes passed. Eugene stared at his untouched beer, thoughts racing. Then, without another word, he made up his mind. He was going. He said his goodbyes, flagged down a taxi, and headed home to grab his car. The spontaneous decision lit a spark in him. By the time he was behind the wheel, his heart was pounding, not with nerves, but with anticipation. The road stretched ahead for nearly 200 kilometers. At first, the highway was deserted, letting him cruise freely. But as he got closer to the city, he eased off the gas and let the navigator guide him. "Beep, turn here," the robotic female voice instructed. He followed her lead, making a left onto a side street. "In 20 meters, you will reach your destination," she added in that monotone cadence. Eugene rolled up in front of an elegant hotel nestled in the heart of the city. The place looked polished, with a warm glow spilling from its windows. Inside, at the front desk, a young woman greeted him with a courteous smile. Her name tag read Faith. "Good evening. How can I help you?" she asked politely. "Hi, Faith," Eugene said, also smiling. "I'm here to surprise my wife. She's in room 278. Faith's smile didn't fade. "Of course, may I have her full name for verification?" He gave her Irene's name confidently, watching as she typed away on her keyboard. But then, her expression shifted slightly, still kind, but concerned. "I'm really sorry, but there's no one registered here under that name." She looked up at him with genuine sympathy. "Maybe there's been a mistake." Eugene felt something cold grip his chest. His face went pale, and the air around him thickened. Clutching the counter for balance, he asked her to check again, this time rattling off the last names of 3 of Irene's coworkers who were supposed to be attending the same event. Faith shook her head. "I'm truly sorry. None of those names are showing up in our system either." Numb and dazed, Eugene stepped outside. The crisp night air hit him like a wave. He leaned against the railing, trying to calm his breathing and make sense of what he just heard. Arrow was their cat, sleek, gray, and always quietly watchful. He perched on the doorstep, blinking slowly at Eugene, as if sensing the storm that had passed through the house overnight. Eugene hesitated. For a moment, the cat's calm presence almost unraveled him. He crouched down and scratched behind Arrow's ears, whispering, "I guess it's just you and me now." The cat purred, brushing against his arm, grounding him. Dragging the heavy box onto the porch, Eugene took one last look at it, then reached for his phone. He stared at the screen for a long time. Her contact, Irene, was still listed at the top. With a slow, deliberate movement, he removed the pin, then deleted the correspondence. He didn't even bother to open it. There was no need to reread anything. Just then, a message notification popped up. From her. Gene, please. I know what you saw. Please let me explain. I made a mistake. It meant nothing. He didn't read the rest. He simply stared at the words, as if trying to convince himself that they were part of some cruel dream. A gust of wind swept across the porch. He picked up the box and turned, heading for the shed in the back of the yard. It wasn't vindictive. Not really, it was ritual. A clean break. He placed the box inside, shut the door, and locked it. Back in the house, the silence was too loud. No soft footsteps, no teasing morning voices, no perfume lingering in the hallway. Just the echo of yesterday and the weight of what wouldn't return. He sat on the edge of their bed, his bed now, and finally let out a long, hollow breath. There would be time for grief later. For now, all Eugene could do was sit there, listening to the tick of the clock, and wonder how long it would take before the ache dulled enough to breathe without it. His wife quickly got into the car and wanted to return home, but having lost control, her car flew into a pole at high speed. When Irene was discharged from the hospital, she returned not to the apartment she once shared with her lover, but to her childhood home, quiet, a little cramped, filled with the echo of old photographs and the cautious sympathy of her parents. Her mother hardly spoke, just laid out the food and fussed over the medicines. Her father, usually distant, seemed more present now, sitting quietly next to her with tired eyes and sighing softly. The bruises disappeared, but the pain remained. Irene spent sleepless nights staring at the ceiling, reliving that night, the scattered clothes, the fury in his eyes, the adamancy in his voice. When she wanted to stop by the apartment to get her things, back then, she believed she was chasing freedom, something new, something exciting. But everything she caught was an illusion. One evening, she wandered into her daughter's room. It was quiet, filled with forgotten toys and innocence. Her daughter looked up from her coloring book, hesitant at first, then offered a soft smile. Mommy, are you staying this time? Irene's throat tightened. She knelt beside her, tears stinging behind her eyes, and whispered, Yes. I'm not going anywhere anymore. Months passed. Irene found a modest job at a local bookstore, a quiet place where she could rebuild her days without anyone asking too many questions. She started therapy, something she once scoffed at, but now clung to. And slowly, she began to mend not just the wounds on her body, but the shattered image she once held of herself. As for Eugene, life had taken on a new rhythm. The apartment was cleaner, quieter. He'd taken up running again, something he hadn't done in years. He even adopted a second cat. Arrow had seemed lonely. His friends noticed the change in him, too. He didn't talk about Irene much. When asked, he'd only offer a quiet something's break, and it's okay not to fix them. They hadn't spoken since that night. No messages, no calls, just silence. But from time to time, on a quiet Sunday morning or while folding laundry, Eugene found himself remembering the version of Irene who used to hum to herself in the kitchen, barefoot and smiling. He didn't hate her, not anymore. But the trust was buried too deep to be dug up. And Irene? She still walked with a little hesitation, carried a quiet grief for the life she'd lost. But one morning, as the sun spilled across her daughter's bed and laughter echoed through the house, she realized something important. Regret didn't have to define her. Not if she didn't let it. She had shattered everything. But somehow, from the wreckage, she was learning to build again.